Hi, Deepa Rani Shekhar from Transform Life Programs. Love and Light. Friends, let me take you through a story before I talk about whatever I want to discuss with you today. So, the story goes thus, it's a very simple story. There was a hunter, and obviously, a hunter goes hunting in the forest. So, he went hunting and he lost his way. Despite all the efforts of figuring out the way to get out, remember there was no GPS those days. It was only the mental GPS that worked, unlike today. If you remember, before the GPS culture got thrust on us, people who knew the routes were most sought after during weddings or during obituary when people had to be informed. And this again before the era of the mobile phones. Yeah, and during weddings to distribute cards, somebody who knew the routes and had a mental GPS was most sought after. However, after GPS, after mobiles came, I don't know whether it has united us or separated us, but that's not the topic for today. So this hunter, despite doing his best to get his mental GPS on, he just could not find the way to get out of the forest. So he wandered for 8 days without food and very little water here and there. Just because he has water, he can't stay in a single place. He has to keep moving to find the way out of the forest. So 8 days is a very long period. So he kept wandering. And one day he found an apple tree with ripe apples. So he plucked a dozen apples and carried it in his shirt. He wound it all in his shirt and he was so happy, so grateful. Obviously, after 8 days of hunger, if someone found ripe apples on an apple tree, obviously the person is going to be thrilled, blissful, grateful, whatever, all the positive emotions. So he sunk his teeth into the first apple. He felt blissful. He felt energy in every bite. He felt gratitude for every bite. And the apple tasted so, so, so very good. And he ate the first apple. And he took the second apple. His hunger was still not satiated. He started eating the second apple. It was okay, but not as great as the first apple. By the time the hunter reached the fifth apple, he was not feeling that divine taste that he felt in the first apple. My question is, did the apple lose taste? Or did the hunter lose interest? Or did he set into monotony? Or another interesting question, if he had eaten the fifth apple first, would it still have tasted lesser? Interesting question, isn't it? So, by the time he came to the 10th apple, he had the apple in his hand. He was still hungry, but he could not bring himself up to eat that 10th apple. He still had two more. Including the 10th apple, he had three apples. So he just could not bring himself to eat the 10th apple, though he was hungry. Can you figure out the reason for this? Can you guess the reason for he not being able, the hunter not being able to eat the 10th apple despite still being hungry? Yeah. In economics, they call this as the diminishing marginal utility. However, in the energetic language or as a spiritual and energy healer, I would say diminishing gratitude, an attitude of diminishing gratitude. So, when you lose gratitude for anything, the value of it decreases. You cannot relish it, you cannot tap into the optimum benefit of it. So, now the topic I want to discuss is, there is a lot of hue and cry about people not wanting to pay school fees because It is the lockdown period and children are not going to school. Tell me one thing. People are not going to office, but are they happy to forego their salaries? No, right? Nobody. Then why the double standards? It's not just about the schools making money. It is also about paying the teachers, the people who are housekeeping the school, the security at the school, the drivers, whoever is involved in the functioning of the school. So when they are not paid for 4 months or 6 months or till whatever period the lockdown is going to continue and schools aren't going to be reopened, how will they survive? And okay, assume that they somehow manage. When they come back after 6 months, what mental state would they be in? They would obviously have incurred a lot of debts, gone through a lot of hardships, and their mental faculty will not be that of gratitude when handling a child. Do you realize handling a child, the attitude of anybody, be it the parents or the teachers, is very, very important because the child learns. And remember, dear parents, your child is watching you. What you do today, your child is going to learn it tomorrow. They don't learn by the advice we give them, they learn by watching us. Today, just because they are not attending school, you refuse to pay the fees because you feel it is not important. Tomorrow, for some reason, when we become invalid as parents, they will feel we are useless and they will want to shelf us away. That's what we taught it. We taught the child, right? I remember a novel, Hard Times by Charles Dickens. In that novel, the protagonist is someone who cannot see shades of grey, black and white. It is about capitalism, where he beats up his son because the son goes to watch a circus, because for a capitalist the circus is a farce. It's false. It is not real. And the son runs away from home, and that's a different thing. He wants to marry his daughter, a 14-year-old child, to his 50-year-old friend, while the child loathes the touch of this old man because he's well settled, he has property, whatever. Because he sees only the capitalistic point of view. And later on, when this protagonist who runs a school and for feeds children with all these facts and figures, he falls to bad times. His son has run away, remember, and he has no money. And there is his model student called Bitzer. The name is Charles Dickens has a way of giving very nice names which speaks about the character. Bitzer, bit, every bit is there. He doesn't let go of anything. So when the principal asks this Bitzer to help him to pull up himself, Bitzer says, "Why should I help you? Because I was the principal and I was your teacher. I've taught you." Bitzer says, "Why should I pay you now? Because I've paid my fees then. And you only taught me because I paid you the fees. So I don't owe you anything." And there is no gratitude, friends. This is how things are going to turn out. Would that help any society? I don't think so. Why are we making a big hue and cry about it? When it comes to our own jobs, though there are projects or not, though the company has turnover or not, we all want want to hold on to our dear jobs. We don't want our dear jobs to be taken away. And we don't want to see our salary diminishing, our perks diminishing, irrespective of whether there is so much work, irrespective of whether we are delivering as much as was necessary. We feel that's the company's problem. They have to find clients. There is no turnover of money, but are we happy receiving something lesser? Then why target a particular set? And have you realized another thing? It is the law of attraction. The universe responds to your vibration. By saying I'm not paying the schools, you're telling I don't have money. By saying that, the universe is going to stop a lot of goodies that's going to come your way, because that is a mental attitude of lack, lack. So when you put that into the universe, that is going to be your reality. And then we keep wondering why I'm not able to create, why am I not appreciated and acknowledged for whatever I give out. That's what we did. What goes around comes around. Nothing is lost, dear friends. Whatever you put like a boomerang comes back, and today you can see that it comes back very, very fast. So, what is the value that you want your children to hold on? So, by saying that, because just because they are not going toddling to the schools, just because you don't want your children to learn online, if you say, I don't want to pay the school fees, and if you put scores of the staff on loss of pay, that's what the universe is going to give you. Would you be happy with that? And what if the same situation continues for 2 years? Would you be happy with your child not learning anything? At the end of 2 years or 1 year, when your child goes back to school, it will be hard for the child to pick up because there's a huge gap, and there will be no empathizing between the teacher and the student because you treated them like you don't care. So the same thing will be doled out. And don't think then by going to the press, by pulling up the law, you can resolve things. Not everything can be set right by law. There is something called love and affection, which has to flow with every word, which has to flow with everything communicated. The law cannot ensure this. So, is it saving a few thousands, or is it adding value to your child's life, is something you as parents have to think. And do you want to give the universe the message that I am a loser, I cannot pay the money? So the choice is yours. And some social media posts said they are all, the schools are run by politicians and they have a lot of money. If that is your attitude, why did you even choose that school? When you want the best, you want it. When there is a way to escape, you want it. What attitude is that, friends? What attitude is that? Can we be mindful of everybody, their needs? Just because there is no school, that doesn't mean the staff don't need to eat. They are human beings too. Shall we look at the whole thing with a very humane approach than a capitalistic approach? Is that what the pandemic wants us to learn? Is that what is the lesson we are missing? Are we so self centered we cannot respond and empathize with our fellow human beings? So, is that something you have to think about? Think about it and do let me know how you feel. Please subscribe the channel and share, and also leave a comment in the feedback. Thank you so much for joining me, and please leave a comment. Love and light.